The funeral service of Reuben Khemese of the Soweto String Quartet, who collapsed and died last week, will be held today at the House of Ministries in Johannesburg. This morning, we look back on his journey with the group and the role that they played by influencing classical music in South Africa. To chat more about this, we're joined in our studios here in Johannesburg by Masote. He is a music producer and an artist. Good morning to you and welcome to Morning Live.
Thank you, Palisa.
Thank you so much for your time. Now, the Soweto String Quartet has played a pivotal role in classical music here in South Africa specifically. Talk to us about how influential the group has been throughout.
Yeah, I think, when the Soweto String Quartet first emerged as a commercial group with their first CD, Zebra Crossing, in 1994, was a watershed moment in the country as a whole. But I think they helped to make classical music or classical instruments relevant. If you can imagine, and a lot of us will remember, people playing violins in a way that they had never been seen before anywhere in the world. So much so that in 1995, when Yehudi Menuhin, the preeminent violinist of the 20th century, came to South Africa in 1995, one of the things that he insisted on doing was to meet these guys that played these violins from Europe in their own way. And in their own way does by no means mean any worse or on a lower standard. They just gave it its own identity that was so South African.
Yeah, indeed. Now, talking about the relevance of classic music, is the genre embraced sufficiently so here at home?
Look, the last time I sat in the studio was about 6 months ago, and I was here with Pretty and they were promoting our concert. We had two world-class soloists on that day, Pretty and Levi Schabani, a black conductor on stage and a mixed orchestra. So this whole conversation about relevance of classical music, I think we've proven. We've got a track record of South African singers, in particular opera singers, that are winning international competitions, that are employed in some of the top opera houses in the world. We've got string players. We've got now two Standard Bank young artists who are string players. We've got conductors that not only conduct choirs but symphony orchestras professionally from our own communities, black and colored communities in South Africa. So I think we've made a huge stride towards integrating all South Africans from all backgrounds that were previously excluded from classical music, and they are competing and playing just as well. When I look at the next generation with children as young as 10 years that are doing well in competitions in South Africa, I'm really pleased.
But are South Africans embracing the genre?
The audiences, that's always something that you work on. But like anything else, before Makaya Ntini, before Chester Williams, these things happen very far away from us. It's only when we see children and people that we grew up with taking part and excelling, and the more that we have these success stories to tell, the more people will embrace these art forms. But I have no doubt that we are growing in the right direction.
And Abdukudon, I do know that your father played a pivotal role as well in the development of classic music, particularly for the Soweto String Quartet. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, I think the Soweto String Quartet tell not only the story of themselves as four people, but they tell the story of where they come from and the generation of musicians that they come from. So in the 1960s, my father, Michael Masote, started teaching young children in Soweto how to play string instruments in the main. Started the Soweto Youth Orchestra, which later graduated to become the Soweto Symphony Orchestra. And the original members of the Soweto String Quartet were part of that youth orchestra, even the deceased that we laying to rest today. He was one of the original members of the Soweto Youth Orchestra some 50 years ago. So my father was not only their uncle, because the three Khemese brothers who are now in the Soweto String Quartet are cousins and nephews of my father, they're cousins of mine. So he mentored them not only as their uncle, but as their first string music teacher. It's also important to say that the Khemese brothers came from a richly musical family. Other than their mother, who was my father's sister, their own father, Ntate Khemese, was a choir master. So it was a richly musical environment.
So it runs in the family.
Absolutely.
It
it's been a joy to grow up with what I often refer to as the magic of music. And Reuben and his brothers also experienced that.
But you surely have beautiful memories of Reuben. Talk to us about your memories of him.
I've got many personal memories. You know, he was the gentlest of souls, a big brother. I don't have a big brother. I'm the eldest boy at home, but he was one of my elder cousins that really, you know, made it a point to mentor some of us younger cousins. I spent many nights at his place as a young man. He used to invite me, and we'd talk about everything. Not even because I also play the cello, so we'd play very little, but spend the rest of the time just talking about life in general. He really took great care for everybody. His 5 daughters and his lovely wife that obviously passed away 5 years ago. And you know, beautiful love story.
We also had one of his daughters here on the show last week who was basically saying that her father was everything to them. He took care of them. He was an incredible father. Yeah.
Look, 4 university graduates and 1 still studying at university, 5 girls. I mean, it's an incredible story. When the eldest daughter Bulelo spoke at the memorial 2 days ago, she paid tribute to him and said their father always told them that the fact that they are girls did not mean that they should not take up the opportunities that are on offer. There's nothing that a boy can do that a girl cannot do, and they'll be eternally grateful to what their father did for them. So yeah, great parent, wonderful musician, wonderful friend, cousin and colleague.
Yeah, and he also taught his daughters to play violin.
Yeah,
all of them
played. I mean, we all played. All my cousins, you know, we all played some sort of string instrument, and it's a wonderful. And we all sing, well, with the exception of myself.
Now, up to Kutlwano, what do you hope aspiring classical musicians take away from the group, the Soweto String Quartet?
I think, you know, sometimes when you are faced with a challenge of going into the unknown, you doubt yourself. But I think for me and subsequent generations, we should know that others have done it. These guys really went for it. I mean, in 1992 already, they decided to quit their full-time jobs and have a full go at this career as a professional string quartet. Yes, maybe not playing Haydn and Mozart and the like, but they decided to take this vehicle called the string quartet and make a decent living for themselves. And I think that's what we can take from them, to say anything's possible if you have the talent and you are willing to apply yourself. The possibilities in music are endless.
Yeah, no, we've got incredible stories to talk about Reuben. But he's being laid to rest today. Talk to us about the details of the funeral arrangements.
So the funeral is today. The service will be held at House of Ministries, corner of Impala and Swart Koppies, in the south of Johannesburg. Service starts at 8 and it will finish at 11. It will be obviously tributes from music industry people, family, neighbors, you know, the usual. But there'll also be a lot of musical performances. I can tell you that.
Like we did see during the memorial service,
absolutely.
I believe.
Rebecca Malope will be performing, Sibongile Mngoma, the wonderful singer, amongst others. So it will be a full musical send-off, also with personal tributes from those who knew him well.
All right. No, thank you so much for your time, and hopefully everything will go well today.
Thank you so much, brothers.
Thank you so much. Ke Kutlwano Masote, music producer and artist, talking to us about Reuben Khemese, a member of the Soweto String Quartet. The funeral service today at 8 o'clock, House of Ministries. It will start at 8 and head to the graveside at 11 o'clock.